Welcome to episode 191 of Sports Geek. On this week's episode, I chat with Tanya Gallina from Hawthorn Football Club about membership, community and ticketing.
Welcome to Sports Geek, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host, who is looking forward to meeting you in Queensland, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. Yes, my name is Sean Callanan, and you are listening to Sports Geek. You might be doing that on Pocket Cast because I mention it nearly every single podcast. It is my favourite podcasting app. Please let me know where you are listening to Sports Geek. You might be doing it on sportsgeekhq.com. You might listen to it on Apple Podcasts or Google Play. As always, as a listener, you can always contact me. You can do it via the social media at Sean Callanan on most platforms, and also you can try via email, sean@sportsgeekhq.com will get me. As always, if you want to catch up, want to work with me, want to push an idea past me, get my opinion on something, I love to help podcast listeners. If you want to book a time, just go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call. And as DJ Joel mentioned at the top there, I am looking forward to meeting a few people that I have not met before in Queensland in May. I've already had a few people from the Sports Beer Slack community reach out and say they want to catch up when I'm there. So you can go to sportsgeekhq.com/Queensland 2018, and that'll send you to the Queensland Sports and Rec dates. So Friday, May 4, I'll be in Mackay. Thursday, May 17, I'll be in Brisbane, and then Thursday, the 31st of May, I'll be up in Cairns. So if you're in Mackay, Brisbane or Cairns and you want to meet up or you want to catch up in some way, go to that link, sportsgeekhq.com/Queensland 2018. You'll get all those dates and find out if you can. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to go. If you're paying tax, you should be able to go. Just to give you an idea of what I'll be talking about, I'll be talking about how data and how sports clubs and grassroots can leverage data and what they can do in the social and digital space. Now they can use the data from marketing campaigns to make better decisions. Now I think my presentation would probably have changed just a little bit, probably in the last 6 months. I mean, the presentation I would have given to the Sports and Rec attendees would have been vastly different given the changes in Facebook. So I'll be updating that deck in the next couple of weeks and look forward to meeting some people up in Queensland, in Mackay, Brisbane and Cairns. All the links will be in these show notes. As always, you just put the show number. This is episode 191. We'll get you to the episode, sportsgeekhq.com/191. Really enjoyed catching up with Tanya Gallina. Went out to Waverley, the headquarters of the Hawthorn Footy Club here in the AFL. And yes, Tanya and I have been bouncing backwards and forwards trying to tee up a time. She's had a long career in sports and very much integral person and a leader in the space of membership. And as I've said before, Melbourne is a world leader in terms of membership marketing, and Tanya has been someone that has been at the coalface across multiple clubs and multiple sports in the membership space. So I hope you enjoy my chat with Tanya Gallina from the Hawthorn Football Club. Very happy to be here at the Ricoh Centre, formerly known as Waverley Park, home of the Hawthorn Football Club. Tanya Gallina, General Manager of Consumer Services and Tasmania for the Hawthorn Football Club. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Wanted to catch up. I think we've been bouncing backwards and forwards for a little while on trying to tee this up. So thank you for making the time. You've been in the world of sports, especially here in Melbourne, for a long time. Multiple clubs, multiple sports. Do you want to take people a little bit to your origin story into sports and the background?
Yeah, sure. I was lucky enough, I suppose, to get a placement at Carlton Footy Club while I was at uni. I did think I wanted to be a journo. I looked at someone like Caroline Wilson and thought, yeah, I can do that.
What did you study at uni?
I didn't get enough points to get into journalism at RMIT. So I did a BA at Swinburne.
Okay.
And then added marketing onto that, so a business component. So spent some time in the comms department at Carlton and landed a casual job. I actually did a bit of volunteering at Carlton and then landed a casual job there and then got a permanent role. So always in that customer service membership space and progressed to membership manager. So I was there for 7 years, pretty tough years, 2000 to 2007. And really for me, it was such an amazing learning curve. Not a lot of money and resources, so a lot about work ethic and I was a 25-year-old membership manager and really quite green, but held me in great stead to learn about the basics and learn a lot about customer service and the principles around membership. And then spent a year at Melbourne Victory. So that was they'd outsourced all their membership and merchandise and wanted to bring it back in-house.
Okay.
So for me, it really was rebuilding their membership product, and I think they wanted someone from the AFL landscape to kind of lead the way in their membership product as well.
They definitely of the A-League team. So for the people who are listening overseas, Melbourne Victory are part of the A-League, a football team, and now a very successful
very well.
membership organisation.
Yes, yep.
And so you took some of those principles from Carlton because, I've just discussed previously on the podcast how Melbourne is a membership city, and AFL has definitely led the way, nationally on how membership marketing happens. So you took some of those learnings across to the Victory to bring it in-house?
Absolutely, and really kind of modelled a lot of the reserve seat modelling. So we really kind of worked on all those customer service principles, bringing it in-house. And I was lucky enough to start there. They'd just won a championship. So I won't take credit for the number.
Yep.
But, it was really interesting dealing with interstate teams as well because they just didn't want to look at membership the way that we did at Victory. So we leveraged that. And I think we ended up with 17,000 members and it was really quite successful. So I had a year at Melbourne Victory and achieved a lot there, but then the opportunity was there to come back to AFL. And so I started here at the Hawks in 2008 as membership manager. Pretty good year to start, I must say.
So you started Hawthorn as membership fan development manager, 2008, just as they're heading into a very successful period.
Correct. So I started in Feb of 2008. So I didn't feel like I was worthy of probably the celebration in September in terms of my tenure here, but again, we completely restructured. We probably weren't structured very well from a resourcing point of view. So really we structured our department around communications and strategy and operations, which is our servicing. So really clear lines. We went from, 30,000 to 45,000 really quickly and then hit 50,000 in 2009, which was outstanding, obviously off the back of a premiership.
So I mean, I think Brian Sarabian summed it up when he was on the podcast. Winning's a great marketing strategy and a great membership strategy. So going into that, going into 2008, you obviously everyone plans to have success. And so you plan for that upside and push out your marketing messages to get everyone on board. How did it sort of change? You sort of had a little bit of experience coming off, a victory at the Victory. How does it change after? Because everyone wants to get on board after a win.
Absolutely.
What does the mindset change a little bit from a membership manager point of view?
Yeah, the mindset is always around customer service. So that never changes, even so good, bad or indifferent. But for us, that whole grand final priority was what changed because you suddenly win a grand final. It's like, how do we leverage the system around guaranteeing yourself a grand final ticket? So that was a quick change in our strategy. We were like, right, okay, we've now won it. So how do we now leverage that? And we sold out very, very quickly and created waiting lists and all those things. So that's
the thing. So the MCG has, again, it sort of changes between 12 and 15,000 that the representing club gets.
Correct.
And so the clubs have this leeway to say, well, we're going to put these aside and make these style memberships guaranteed tickets.
That's exactly right.
They're the premium product that you can sell post.
But we also have to be very conscious of that. there is other priorities and we want to open, so we wouldn't completely make it all guaranteed. That's just really unfair. So we also have a ballot system for other types of memberships. To be able to leverage that, obviously, great opportunity for revenue, but also it's about servicing. We increased volume so quickly. It's about servicing all those members, from fulfillment to phone calls to more attendances at games.
So you've spoken a little bit about, or a couple of times, about customer service. How do you measure, your team and the club overall to say we are serving our members and we are doing? What are some of the KPIs you look for?
Yeah, I mean, really basic stuff within our team is abandoned call rates and overall feedback and surveying, and I know that even our corporate team has gone through a customer service training session. So it's entirety. It's from your receptionist to everyone in the business. So and our footballers. So for us, we're so fan centric. But I guess from a membership, if I'm talking membership perspective, that's always been my core. Has been you start with that and then work out everything else later. Because if you're not communicating and servicing your members correctly, then there's no point in doing anything else.
And so how has that changed from, say, your time at Carlton and the Victory to now with social, which everyone has got their own little platform? And whether they're tweeting or whether they're writing on the page, how does the membership team sort of coordinate with the digital social team that are keeping an eye on those channels? How has that developed over the years?
Yeah, it's completely shifted. So you go so our volume of calls have gone down because now it's you buy online and you email. We also have 85% of our membership that are on a payment plan. So we need to talk to them differently as well. So and collaboration is just so critical for us with our comms and digital team, because if a game looks like it's going to sell out or memberships have sold out, or they're not at the moment, but do you know what I mean? Do you understand? So we've really got to use those channels effectively. Even from a marketing strategy point of view, we would mail out a quarter in terms of what we used to do 10 years ago in terms of mailing. It's all now emails or SMSing or social media.
One of the things I do regularly in my keynotes, to say how much it's changed from 10 years ago. In the off season you would get one or two hard mailers from your footy club, and that would be the only comms you would have. And now you've got all of these channels constantly talking to you in the off season, and most of the membership comms has to be woven into that story. And it makes it and it gives you in that fan development role to reach new people.
Absolutely. And for us, it's about growing the database too. So again, that collaboration piece with our Digi team is just all about how do we grow the fan base? What offers can we give them to get more data? So not only for me is it renewing, it's growing. So it's continually evolving, Sean. And, I've been in the industry for 18 years, so completely different to what it was back at Carlton days.
So talking about, fan development and new fans, part of your role now, GM Consumer Services and Tasmania. For the people who don't know, Tasmania is another state across Bass Strait where the Hawks play some games. Do you want to sort of take us through, the Hawks' Tasmanian strategy and sort of where it fits in the overall club? Yeah,
I mean, for us, the Tasmanian relationship has been for 17 years. We've been playing games there. For us, it really is in principle a community. Obviously, they're sponsoring us and that's amazing, and we don't hold back from that. But for us, it's always been about the community, particularly around kids playing footy, giving back to Tassie in terms of whether it be charity purpose. But for us, it's about connecting with them. We play 5 games down there, including a JLT game. So it's not just about the game, it's about more than that. We have 3 staff based down there. We're out at schools. We've got a Looking After Me program, which is online. So that's for Tasmanian schools. So for us, it's that connection. And we have fan development packs that we send out to all schools, free memberships or sign up and basically get on our database and connect with us. So the power of being in Tassie, not just on game day, being on the ground, connecting to them that way is critically important for us. We also have a Premier's Reading Challenge because there's some literacy issues down there. So we connected with the government around that. So that's the fan development, because we believe community, we've got a social responsibility, but for our community department, there's also these fan development outcomes. We're talking to these kids. We want to get them on the database and we want to connect with them.
It is a real long play because, 17 years, you're probably just starting to see like the money in memberships as 22, 25-year-olds have seen a few games, have gone to clinics, and that's starting to come to fruition now.
Absolutely. And I guess I won't take credit for this one, but Hawthorn was one of the first clubs to establish a membership where you could have two, as a family, was 2 adults and 4 kids. And the fruits of that, probably plus the 80s success and all of those people now having kids, we've got the most junior members in the league in 22,000. So that's amazing. And then it's also about how we then grow the fans and connect with them. And we think it's critically important to offer them tickets to games, engage with them, get them to open training sessions.
So how do you balance, because like what you discussed there, Hawthorn had a very successful era in the 80s. And so what you're saying is, those kids are now growing up and as is the way in Melbourne, you have a child and you just tell them who they're going to Barrack for.
No choice,
Right. And so you've got that longer term strategy of, well, we've got, this fan base from the 80s. We're developing this fan base, in Tasmania, but then you've also got it's 2018. These are the KPIs I've got to hit. Here's the membership targets. How do you balance that, the long-term strategy view and keeping them bubbling along with
for us it's segmentation. So we understand our database really well. So we've also got to think about the fact that we've just won 3 premierships in a row. So whoever's sitting in my chair in 20 years, hopefully they're seeing the fruits of this success. So for us, it's really about communication and segmentation. So we very much understand who our Oz kickers are, who our kids that have received fan development packs, who our loyal members are in terms of retention strategies. So that's critical.
So how is that data piece internally in the club? How's that been developed over the last 7 or 8 years? Because it's sort of been the last piece of the puzzle that's sort of happening in AFL land, because it's gone from, that broad one product membership to more segmentation, and they're becoming more, the data geeks that are working on the business side.
So I feel like we've been at it for quite some time in terms of segmenting our database. And then, so there's the database piece, and then there's the actual membership product piece that continues to evolve, because I think what you are seeing, or what we're all seeing in the AFL, is that there's a lot of no-shows in regards to
and that's a global trend. Like
correct.
That, it's not just
AFL.
It's not just AFL.
Definitely.
It is happening. The people buying the ticket and not turning up, and that piece.
So I mean, from an AFL membership perspective, for anyone that's listening overseas, I suppose, is that we have an 11-game membership, which lots of clubs like us have a 3-game membership as well. We're just continuously trying to understand, if you've got an 11-game membership, you're only coming to maybe 5 or 6 games. So then your seat's vacant for those games. How do we resell that seat? How do we incentivise people to return that seat back so we can then on-sell that? How do we get people to games instead of sitting on the couch? So it's a continual journey at the moment.
And at a venue like the MCG is a blessing and a curse, because it's a tremendous venue,
no doubt,
but it holds 95,000 people. So there's never a capacity issue. Like you can always turn up and get a seat.
Exactly.
Which is why there hasn't really been a strong resale market sort of develop in Australia.
Correct.
And so that education process of, whether it's trading back your ticket or those kind of things, that's part of that comms customer service piece as you start introducing, because football fans are very traditional. They know what they want. They don't like change. They like doing things the same way, and trying to introduce these type new concepts can freak some people out.
And Sean, to be honest, I'll admit, in my journey and anyone else that's been part of the AFL industry for the past 10 years, we were like, get a reserve seat because it's yours.
Yeah.
You can come or you don't have to come. It's going to be there waiting for you. And, over the past few years, we're like, oh, jeepers. We now need to shift this mentality because everyone can see what's happening.
Yeah. And it's almost like the way I describe it, and membership marketing is done so well, and it's almost, in Melbourne at least, and for a lot of Australia, it's identity-based decision. It's not a financial decision. It's like I'm a Hawks person. I need a ticket. And I joke that it's at guilt level marketing now. So you've
pretty good at that. Yeah.
Well, no, but you've got your fans meeting other fans saying, oh, yeah, you're a Hawks fan. And then the first question is, are you a member?
Yeah.
And so you've got to support your club, feel good about supporting your club.
Yeah. That's
been the main tenet. And it hasn't been and show up. And so that's where the marketing mix, I think, is changing, because it's very easy to, cool, we've got the money, don't have to worry about it, but the game experience, that kind of thing.
And we're actually getting feedback now from our members that are sitting in members' bays saying there's not enough people in the members' bay now.
Yeah.
So the actual experience isn't as great. So, we've introduced a new Hawks Flexi membership, because I think the other part of it's very similar to an AFL membership in terms of you can book your seat for a cost, $2, or you can walk up. But for us, key critical now, and the message that's coming through is that people want to bring their friends.
Yep.
So the fact you're in a reserve seat bay makes it really difficult, because I can't bring you, Sean, if you want to come along to a Hawthorn Collingwood game.
Yeah, you're locked in to sit with those people every game, which is great for some people.
Yep. Like a lot of people love that. They want to sit next to that person and say g'day, and they only know them at the footy. But then this generation that's coming through is like, I just want to choose a game and I want to go with my mates.
Yep.
So we've introduced that for the first time this year.
So what's the Flexi product?
Flexi product is very, very similar to AFL membership.
Yep.
So we've collaborated with the AFL on this because it is a trend.
Yep.
So we've opened up 3 bays. So it's really a new trial for us. You purchase a Hawks Flexi membership, but still gives you the access to our home games.
Yep.
But you book for $2 via Ticketek to reserve that seat, and you pay for a guest pass.
Yep.
Or depending on the game, we communicate. So if it's a big game, we'd be saying book your seats.
Yep.
But if it's a average game, we'd say there's a walk up available for you. But you can still buy a guest pass with your mate and walk up. So we had a first go at it on Saturday night, and it worked really well. And it really is conditioning.
Yep.
We really just need to change the mindset.
And so is in that space, you're also, it's a bit of a data capture piece as well? Are you getting the details of the guests that's coming along, or is that sort of the longer term piece to say hopefully they're coming along and then
for us, it's the first step for us is just to try and change the mentality, definitely, and again provide that really great experience. Make sure those bays are full. We gave everyone a flag. We did all activations in there, so we want people to be looking at it and going, oh, I want to be part of that. So and then yes, the longer term piece is always about data and the guests, but the guest might be an Oppo supporter, but yes, data's always part of that mix.
But the idea is again, your best salespeople are your current fans, and if they can bring their friend along and go, this is what it's
word of
like.
mouth,
this is
definitely.
So it's just amplifying that piece.
Yeah, and we're going to stick at it because we strongly believe that it is going to be, well, I do anyway, that a model that clubs will, conform to almost, because currently that reserve seat model isn't really working great. Money in the bank, but does it look amazing? Not really.
Yeah, and it's working with the ticketing company, working with the stadium.
Absolutely.
And you've got greencoats there saying, oh, sorry, you can't go in that seat, but there's like a whole row of people empty.
And if you think about it, we say, oh, big game, you're sitting on level 4 as it's my second game as a Hawthorn fan. I'm looking downstairs and why are these seats all vacant? So all of those experiences we really have to think about. And to credit MCG, Ticketek, AFL, we've all collaborated on this one to really just find a way.
And the thing is, it's going to take time, because again, if you look back at your early days at Carlton, there would have been 2 products. There was you were a member, or you just walk through and bought a ticket. As someone, I actually sold tickets at Princess Park back in the days, and it was I think it was $12.50. That's how long ago it was to get in. They were the two, and there was a real walk up culture.
They clipped your ticket.
Clipped the membership.
I had one of those.
But the thing is, there was a real walk up culture, and when you talk to when I've talked to people in the US, they're quite amazed that it'll be a Friday night game and 30,000 people could just show up.
Yep. No doubt.
And buy their tickets then. And I think over the last 15 years, the whole, we've better buy our tickets. We will have our tickets in our hands.
Yep.
I think Etihad Stadium and its development has sort of fast tracked that.
Yep.
So I think as that comes, and now we've got a new set of customers that are mobile focused that just want to be able to go click, get me a ticket and I'm in.
Yeah.
That's where those products will be easy for them to access.
To your point, functionality, it's very clear to us that it's about ease of purchase.
Yeah.
So make it simple. Do you know what I mean? So again, that piece with our ticketing agencies and venue is just key critical before we even try and launch something new, because if it's too hard, it's too hard. They're not going to go back to it. So
it is things like, a membership renewal comes up and you get an SMS and you click the link and
Absolutely.
It makes it easier.
Yep.
Everything else we're buying is getting easier to buy.
Yeah. And that's why we strategically want people on a payment plan.
Yep.
Because you forget that it's happening. It's like your electricity bill.
Yeah, it's like a gym membership.
Oh, absolutely. You find it really hard to get out of it. Admittedly, there's a lot of administration for us with, expiry dates and declines and stuff like that, but so worth it from a retention point of view.
And it's good from a cash flow point of view. It's a steady thing, so you're not getting
what's coming.
Boom or bust every time renewals coming in.
Absolutely. So that has changed immensely as well.
The other thing I want to talk about is how the fan experience at the games has changed over the past 5 or 10 years. 15 years ago, there was a game before the game, and people would come to watch the game, and then that moved away, and then there was warm ups, and then there was trying to do fan activities. Now the warm ups gone this year, which was a bit of a change for a lot of the clubs. To say, well, because you've got to, what do we do to bring the fans in earlier? Do they want to be in earlier?
Yeah.
How do they want to be entertained? How have you guys found that process?
Yeah, it's continually evolving. So again, I think playing at a massive venue like the MCG, it's really hard to kind of get everyone's attention. And look, if you look at the stats, most people are coming in half an hour before the game.
Yep.
So we learn a lot about that from attendance time, you know, and we've tried a lot to get people there earlier. But again, society's changed. People don't have the time. I'm the same. Like, I used to watch curtain raisers at Princess Park. VFL, and to be quite honest, I reckon a bit of that's going to come back because I think the AFL's probably thinking that might work. Again, it's a ground issue, but we have focused on family entertainment, and we've focused on engaging our members when they arrive. So it's kind of that surprise and delight. Do you want to be part of our guard of honour? Or it's someone's birthday, we sing happy birthday to them. So we really, people that do our flag bearers around the ground are members. So it's all about, again, to your point about word of mouth before, it's like, how do we get these people engaged, surprise kids particularly, engage their parents, and then they spread the word about, if you go to a game, you've got a chance to do X, Y, Z.
So is it also a bit of analysis from that ticketing data, but then also that segmentation piece, because you looking at your customer journey, if you're a 23-year-old, you're walking over straight from the pub 2 minutes before the bounce and you're just worried about the football. Whereas if it's a family of 3 or 4 and you've got kids and backpacks and all these things in tow,
whole lot.
And so you cater for those early turn up to make sure they're all settled, having fun.
Correct. And it probably is still about that half an hour to 45 minutes, because if you've got kids, you probably don't want them there too super early anyway. And they'll probably go to the playground, kick the footy, come in. Do you know what I mean? So, and we just try and keep it really entertaining, bit of fun, But yeah, it is hard in such a big venue. In saying that, in Tassie at UTAS, we've got a smaller venue. We feel like we can engage a lot more. Although I must say the Taswegians get to the footy quite late, which is a little bit annoying for us. But we've got more. We feel like we've got more flexibility because it's just a smaller venue and you can engage a bit better. But again, similar sort of themes. We don't replicate what we do in Melbourne, but similar sort of themes for us. So, yeah.
And the AFLW season just finished, and Hawks, on the roadmap to be joining.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that, sort of watching what the current teams have done and, sort of because it becomes both, you become a bigger club internally and then externally. And then there's this, what I've at least seen from the outside of AFLW, it's a completely new section of fans. It's not just a complete transfer of, you follow the men's team, here's the women's team. It's completely new. So do you're coming in as in that second wave. Yep. What are the things you're preparing for AFLW?
Yeah, so obviously disappointed that we actually don't have a timeline for a women's team.
Yep.
So we've been pretty vocal about that. But what that has done for us, Sean, is allow us, from a football perspective, is we've learnt a lot and we're building. So we've got a VFL women's team, which, they train here, they're housed here, and then they'll be out at City Oval in Box Hill to play and train. But what that did for us is we're able to structure up right, support the girls, integrate them into our business. So we've got a really strong mantra of 3 teams, 1 club. We've also got VFL men's. So that integration piece, we feel like it gives us a lot of time to learn.
Because it was so. I mean, rushed is probably a bit too.
It was quick,
but it was very quick to get up to speed. And I think this season's been a bit of a bedding down and ironing out any of the issues and sort of giving a bit of, having a little bit more runway can give you that piece to go.
Our visibility piece, again, we're not happy to not have a timeline, but the visibility piece and understanding piece, and even so we've recruited quite a few AFLW women to play with us. Beck Beeson's moving from Sydney to Melbourne to play for us. I'm sure you would have heard about Sarah Perkins.
Sarah Perkins coming across from the Crows.
Beck Privatelli, Phoebe McWilliams. So we're getting girls that want to play for Hawthorn because we do have a dream in terms of we will get an AFLW licence.
Yep.
As you know, we're very competitive on the field regardless. But in terms of your point about fans as well, I mean, I've been speaking to other clubs, i.e. Carlton and Melbourne, etc., and who just talk so much about their new fan base because one, it's free to go to the game. So you're engaging a totally new market that may not have come to a men's game.
Yep.
And you've also got a new market that want to watch women play. So I think it's different to a membership piece. It's an engagement. And again, if I was running Carlton, I'd be segmenting very, very clearly about the communication I'm giving to these people because you need to understand whether they want to know about the men's or not. Yep. So I think that's really exciting because you can branch out, and we feel like we can do that with the VFL women's as well because even though it's not in the spotlight as much as the AFL, we've got 6 months of the year with some amazing talent that we're going to showcase. So we feel like, again, it's free. So come and watch us. We'll grow our fan base that way.
And it just sets, I guess, internally the culture inside the club. Like you're saying, having the 3 teams
it's completely embraced. It's we've built footy subcommittees for the women. We've got internal business committee for the women. In terms of everyone is across it from the top down. So it's part of your day-to-day business now. It's no different. That's pleasing. But we want it sooner rather than later.
Yep, sooner rather than later. Any other major, insights or trends that you've seen that have changed since your early days when you started in the world of sports, and what's been some of the biggest, trends that you've seen and liked and gone through?
Oh, I could list a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think even over probably the past 5 to 10 years, footy clubs are more than footy clubs.
Yep.
You know, if back at Carlton, we weren't talking about community.
Yep.
You know, it just was never
less the suburban footy club.
Yeah, we're just the local footy. We was community in terms of we want to embrace everyone probably just in Carlton.
Yep.
You know, and if you think about clubs now, community for us, you know, we've got next generation academies, you know, we've got zones. We're in Katherine, we're in Eastern Corridor here.
Yep.
We're in Gippsland, and we're activating in all those areas. So the breadth of that, females in football, you know, in terms of the landscape changing there. I couldn't even tell you how many females were working at Carlton when I was there. There was a few, but there weren't many. In saying that, I never felt any different to a guy there. I've had great opportunities in my career. So the landscape is very, very different. And you look at clubs like Collingwood, they've now got a netball club, and I think that will continue to evolve, because I think we are a business as well in terms of understanding that we need to sustain our core football, and that's always priority. But how do we grow bigger than that?
And that is a trend you're seeing with obviously multiple teams. You know, the Collingwood and the Giants with netball, the Crows and the Bombers going into esports.
Yep.
You know, the rumours in the papers that the Hawks and in basketball and things like that, to sort of look at how can the club continue being a sports club, but in multiple sports but still manage it.
Yeah, correct. And I think for us, it's always going to be about ensuring we understand what our core business is, and we would never put that at risk, because we understand we are a member-based club, and that is always going to be our priority. But we also are really confident about, I suppose, our skill set in here, that we could branch out further and potentially look at basketball or different sports, because there are a lot of great people in football clubs that have skills that can branch further than that and sustain it and grow fan bases. So that's how we would assess it. Again, back to core. We would never compromise the club, though. Yeah.
So I want to go into the Sports Geek Closing 5. Do you remember the first sports event you ever attended?
Yeah, it's footy. So I think I was about 10.
Yep.
And I reckon Carlton, so I will confess that I grew up a Carlton supporter.
Yep.
I think it was Carlton v Melbourne. It was at the MCG, and I went with my sister, and we went and was so naive, like train, tram, whatever. Went in a gate, walked around inside the G, and then the end of the game we were like, oh, geez, where do we come? Like completely lost. Like, and I'm a 10-year-old. I'm just like crying, going.
You didn't get the announcement over the MCG that young girl lost?
No, I was with my sister. We just got completely disorientated. I'm pretty sure we won though. So there was like we won, and then now
the
we're
confusion
lost.
of lost.
Yeah. So that was a bit of an adventure, but that was my first sporting.
My dad was actually at the MCG once for a cricket match, and they put out a announcement for a lost child.
Yeah.
And they said Sean Callanan, and I wasn't at the game.
Oh.
And so my dad was like, what? And this is obviously before the era of, mobile phones and stuff like that. But, it threw him off. I think he might have had a few beers in Bay 14 or Bay 13.
Bay 13 for sure.
And so it threw him off a little bit. But, I've never been lost at a sports event. Must have been another me. You would have been to a few sports events in your time.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite food memory of some ridiculous food, or is there a go-to food you have when you go to a game?
I'm a go-to chips girl, like just always have my chips. But I still remember going to I was lucky enough, Hawthorn sent me overseas. I feel like we were kind of the lead in 2009.
Yep.
So I went with Clinton Bowen, who is a great guy, and we travelled to America.
Yep.
And it was all about fan engagement.
Yep.
So, think about that, nearly 10 years ago. And we went to a Yankees game, and I just couldn't believe the attention to detail in terms of the food. Like the paper had Yankees on it. Someone came to me and said, would you like to order? And I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this service?
Yeah.
I just was freaking out. And
So
I came back here and I'm like, this is what we have to do.
So did you go with the nachos and the helmet, or
I
what?
went for the hot dog.
Yes.
Yeah, the dog. So, but I just generally have some chips at the footy. It's kind of my go-to thing.
What's the first app you open in the morning?
Twitter,
just to catch up with the news and find out what the latest footy or cricket scandal might be?
Yeah, I kind of follow a lot of people. It's kind of my keep up to date with what's going on in the world. And then I'll probably go to Insta and just kind of try and wake up.
It's a bit
my
that way.
Twitter's my go-to.
Is there someone that you think the podcast listeners should follow, whether it's someone you're reading or following or you've been admiring from a work point of view?
Like I said, I follow a lot of people, so I find this question a bit tricky, but I've connected with a lady called Michelle Redfern who is sits on the Williamstown board.
Yep.
And I've currently just been put onto the Box Hill board, so keeping that integration piece really strong.
Yep. So I've met Michelle. She does a lot of stuff at board level and gender diversity.
She does. So I haven't even met her in person yet. We haven't been able to connect, but I just find her views really interesting, and I'm actually looking forward to meeting her in person. But she's someone who I've added to the mix recently and I think just in terms of that VFL grassroots, I think it's important for women to be connected there.
Yep.
So, and there's a group of women that are on boards across the VFL now. So we look to meet quarterly, and so,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I have met Michelle at a book launch event last year. What social media platform is your MVP? And so you can either have your Hawks hat on or your personal view.
I think we're finding that Instagram and Insta Stories is working really well for us here at the Hawks, speaking on behalf of our Digi team. But
that's a pretty common answer in the last about 18 months with especially stories getting so much engagement, driving traffic. Fans really can't get enough of it. So it's pretty common.
It's quick, you keep moving. Like I said, I think for me, that go-to info is Twitter, but Insta I'm kind of more engaged with. Gone off Facebook a little bit, just with their algorithms and things like that. It's been a bit.
Yes, they've been going through some tough times in the last couple of weeks, and when we're recording this, with all of their, I guess, data issues, and I guess the pullback and the pushback from both big corporates and people. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We've talked a lot about getting data.
And data,
and, that whole piece of trust and because it's once it's lost, it's hard to get back.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's something you've always got to be mindful of, and it can be broken with a scandal like is currently happening.
Yep.
But it also can be chipped away at with, sending the bad email to someone about the wrong thing. And so that's, it's always something when you...
Danger.
Yeah, it's always a danger.
Yeah.
Because the cost of getting that data is getting higher and higher, like the amount of effort you have to put in to get it. The less I hear of the term email blast, the better. It's like as soon as someone says it, I say, whoa, let's stop. Right? And, the effectiveness of, we could send this to 50,000 people, but there's only 1,000 people that are interested in it.
And your click rates and, waste of time.
It is.
Yeah.
So where can people find you on the internet and connect with you and send you a message if they've listened to this podcast?
Well, I am on Twitter. I think I'm Tan
_Gallina.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Can you promote me?
Yes. Yeah, Tan _Gallina.
Yeah.
And I'll also put the links to your LinkedIn on the show notes if anyone wants to connect.
Absolutely.
Best of luck for the season ahead, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Download our Facebook campaigns guide at sportsgeekhq.com/FB campaigns.
Thanks again to Tanya Gallina, TAN _Gallina, GALLINA. Send Tanya a tweet or connect with her on LinkedIn. The links to connect with Tanya will be in the show notes, sportsgeekhq.com/191. Just before I wrap this up, just sort of go through a few things that we've been working on and it seems to be the bulk of our work at the minute. One of the things we're doing a lot of is helping teams and rights holders review their current rate cards from a digital point of view, obviously, and looking at what they're valuing their different social and digital assets. So, there's a process that we go through for that. It's some of the stuff that I'm doing in the book that is a work in progress. It's got to start getting it on paper, but it's starting there. But it is, if you've got a rate card or you don't know what to value your social media assets, or more importantly, you don't know what to value particular content series, then please give us a call. The other thing that we're looking at that I'm doing is a lot of people gave us really good feedback on the episode with Steve Sammartino. So that was episode, I want to go back, 182. So sportsgeekhq.com 182. Steve Sammartino, the author of The Lesson School Forgot. And Steve has been doing a lot of stuff around startups and helping corporates understand startups, and a little bit of stuff similar to Jack Elkins was talking about in the previous episode last week. And so Steve and I have teamed up to bring his startup and knowledge and my knowledge of sports to look at a sports startup workshop. So if you're interested in sort of bringing a bit more startup mentality into your team, I can't recommend Steve Sammartino highly enough. So if you want to have a discussion about how that might work and building out your team to start thinking of new ideas and ways they can solve problems, that's pretty much the sports startup workshop that Steve and I are developing. So as always, you can always send me an email, Sean@sportsgeekhq.com or sportsgeekhq.com/phone call. As always, if you're playing around with Facebook ads, I'm getting a lot of good feedback for the Building Facebook Campaigns book. You can get it at sportsgeekhq.com/FB campaigns, and you'll understand how we go about doing campaigns. Until then, as always, please get in touch via all the methods that I've given, email or social, or via the Sports Biz Slack that is consistently growing and making terrific connections in there. If you haven't jumped into Sports Biz Slack, please do so. Until next episode, my name is Sean Callanan, and you've been listening to Sports Geek.
Join over 1,000 sports business executives in Sports Biz Slack. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/Slack. Please share your fave episodes of Sports Geek on LinkedIn. Be sure to tag Sean Callanan. Go to sportsgeekhq.com for more sports digital marketing resources. Want to chat with Sean? Book a time for a call. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call.